Businessman pretends to be poor and starts working at McDonald's, and his fiancée's family treats him that way. Carlos Mendez was a 35-year-old man who had everything anyone could wish for. The owner of one of the largest technology companies in the country, he had built an empire from scratch with his talent for business and innovative vision. His fortune was estimated in the billions, and his face was regularly on the covers of business magazines. Despite his professional success, Carlos felt that something was missing in his life. He had recently ended a long and painful relationship and now found himself alone at the top. People treated him differently because of his wealth and fame, and he longed for genuine connections. It was then that he met Julia at a charity event. She was a young 28-year-old teacher from a humble background who worked in a public school on the outskirts of town. Carlos was immediately charmed by her simplicity, intelligence, and passion for making a difference in the lives of her students. The two started dating, and Carlos fell madly in love. For the first time in years, he felt truly happy and fulfilled. Julia loved him for who he was, not for what he had. With her, Carlos could be himself without the pressures and expectations that came with his position. After 6 months of dating, Carlos decided that he wanted to ask Julia to marry him. However, before taking that step, he wanted to make sure that her family would accept him, not because of his money, but because of who he was as a person. That's when Carlos came up with a daring idea. He would pose as an ordinary man and get a job at McDonald's to meet Julia's family without them knowing his real identity. That way, he could see how he would be treated if he were just another ordinary worker. Carlos talked to Julia and explained his plan. She was surprised at first, but understood his motivations and agreed to keep the secret. For all intents and purposes, Carlos would be presented as a McDonald's employee who was starting life from scratch after moving to another city. Over the next few weeks, Carlos prepared his disguise. He grew a beard, cut his hair differently, and swapped his expensive suits for simple clothes. He rented a small apartment on the outskirts of town and a used car. With the help of contacts, he got a real job at McDonald's, starting as an attendant. The shock of reality was immense in the first few days. Carlos, used to giving orders and making decisions that impacted thousands of people, now had to deal with impatient customers, clean toilets, and prepare snacks in the hot and hectic kitchen. The work was exhausting, and his body ached at the end of each shift. But little by little, Carlos adapted and even began to enjoy the experience. He made friends with his co-workers, simple, hard-working people who welcomed him without knowing who he really was. Carlos was surprised to see how much he learned from them about resilience, teamwork, and finding joy in the little things. After a month in this new routine, Carlos was finally introduced to Julia's family. Her parents, So Antonio and Donna Maria, were a middle-aged couple who had raised 3 children with a lot of effort. Her father was a bricklayer and her mother a day laborer. Julia's 2 siblings, Pedro and Ana, also had modest jobs and struggled to support their own families. The first meeting was a dinner at Julia's parents' simple house. Carlos was nervous, but was greeted with warm smiles and a tight hug from Donna Maria. The abundant table, albeit with simple dishes, showed the affection with which the family welcomed him. During dinner, conversation flowed naturally. The family wanted to know more about Julia's new boyfriend. Carlos told them the story they had agreed on. He was from another city, had come to start his life afresh, and was working at McDonald's while looking for other opportunities. The family's reaction was mixed. Donna Maria and Ana were welcoming and asked questions with genuine interest. Antonio, more reserved, watched Carlos with an appraising eye. Pedro, the eldest brother, was the most critical. "And what are your plans for the future, Carlos? Do you intend to stay at McDonald's forever? How do you plan to support my sister on that salary?" Carlos sensed the discomfort in the air, but answered calmly, "I'm grateful for the opportunity at McDonald's, but I'm still looking to grow. I take online courses in my spare time, and I hope to get a better position soon. The most important thing is that I love your sister, and I'll do my best to make her happy." Julia squeezed his hand under the table, giving him support. The rest of the evening passed without further embarrassment, but Carlos could sense that not everyone was convinced. Over the next few weeks, Carlos continued his role and got closer to Julia's family. Donna Maria treated him like a son, always worried if he was eating well and offering him lunch boxes to take to work. So Antonio gradually let his guard down and even invited Carlos to help him with some building work at the weekends. Ana and her husband were also receptive, often inviting the couple to barbecues and Sunday afternoons. Carlos felt more and more part of that loving, close-knit family. Pedro, however, remained skeptical. He constantly made comments about Carlos's financial situation and insinuated that Julia deserved someone in a better position. This caused tension at family gatherings and hurt Julia deeply. One day, after 2 months in this situation, something happened that changed everything. Carlos was in the middle of his shift at McDonald's when a group of executives entered the restaurant. Among them was his best friend and business partner, Ricardo, who didn't know about his plan. Ricardo was shocked to see Carlos wearing his uniform and attending to the cashier. Before Carlos could explain, Ricardo exclaimed loudly, "Carlos Mendez? What the hell are you doing here? You're a billionaire who owns the biggest technology company in the country." The entire restaurant fell silent. Carlos's colleagues stared dumbfounded, not understanding what was going on. Carlos felt his blood run cold, knowing that his disguise had been completely blown. At that moment, as if by fate, Julia entered McDonald's with her whole family. They had agreed to surprise Carlos with lunch. The scene they encountered was one of complete confusion. "What's going on here?" asked Seu Antonio, looking from Carlos to Ricardo. Carlos knew there was no longer any way to hide the truth. He asked his manager for a few minutes and took everyone to a private room. There, with a heavy heart, he revealed the whole truth about his identity and the reason for his plan. The reaction was shock and disbelief. Julia, although she knew the truth, was pale as she watched her plan fall apart like that. Donna Maria put her hands to her face, unable to believe that she had offered lunchboxes to a billionaire. Pedro oscillated between anger and shame at his previous actions. "Why did you do that? Why did you lie to all of us?" asked Seu Antonio, his voice a mixture of hurt and confusion. Carlos took a deep breath and began to explain. "I know what I did may seem wrong, but my intentions were pure. All my life I've been judged and treated differently because of my money. When I met Julia and fell in love, for the first time I felt that someone loved me for who I was, not for what I had. I wanted to make sure that her family would accept me like that too, without the influence of my fortune." He continued, looking into everyone's eyes. "In these 2 months you have welcomed me like family. Donna Maria, your meals and your affection have made me feel a mother's love that I haven't had for years. Mr. Antonio, working alongside you, I've learned more about integrity and hard work than in all my years as a businessman. Ana, Pedro, you have shown me the value of family unity." Carlos turned to Julia, taking her hands. "Julia, my love for you has only grown in this time. Seeing how much you are loved and how much you love your family has only made me even more certain that I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Then, to everyone's surprise, Carlos knelt down and took a small box out of his pocket. "Julia, will you accept me as your husband, with all my faults and follies, so that we can share a life together?" The silence in the room was palpable. All eyes were on Julia, who had tears streaming down her face. After what seemed like an eternity, she finally spoke. "Carlos, what you did was crazy. But it was crazy love. I love you for the man you are, whether you're a billionaire or a McDonald's attendant. Yes, I agree to marry you." The couple embraced to the emotional applause of the family. Donna Maria wept openly, while Seu Antonio tried to disguise his emotion. Ana hugged her husband, happy for her sister. Pedro, however, remained serious. When things calmed down, he approached Carlos. "I owe you an apology, Carlos. I judged you unfairly based solely on your apparent financial situation. You've proved yourself to be a man of character, willing to do anything for my sister's happiness. I hope you can forgive me and that we can make a fresh start." Carlos smiled and hugged his future brother-in-law. "There's nothing to forgive, Pedro. Your concern for Julia only shows how much you love her. I'm happy to be part of this family." In the days that followed, the story of the billionaire disguised as a McDonald's attendant went viral in the media. Many found Carlos's attitude romantic, while others criticized the lie. If you've watched this far, please consider subscribing to the channel and commenting on where you live. Going back to the story, For Carlos and Julia, however, the most important thing was that they could now live their love openly with the blessing of their family. The couple decided to use the media attention for something positive. They set up a foundation to help low-income young people gain access to quality education and job opportunities. Carlos didn't completely abandon his experience at McDonald's. He implemented policies in his company to value employees at all levels, inspired by what he experienced. He also kept in touch with his former colleagues, offering growth opportunities to those who wanted them. Carlos and Julia's wedding was a simple and intimate event, reflecting the values that united them. They opted for a ceremony in the backyard of Julia's parents' house, with only family and close friends. Donna Maria made a point of preparing the feast herself, with the help of Anna and her new daughter-in-law. In the years that followed, Carlos and Julia built a life based on love, mutual respect, and a desire to make a difference in the world. Julia continued her work as a teacher, now with the resources to implement innovative projects in public schools. Carlos, for his part, found a new purpose in using his wealth and influence for social causes. Julia's family remained united and close, with Carlos truly integrated as a son and brother. Sunday lunches at Donna Maria and Seu Antonio's house became a sacred tradition where titles and bank accounts didn't matter, only love and family unity. 5 years after the unusual proposal at McDonald's, Carlos and Julia received the news that would crown their happiness. They were expecting their first child. The pregnancy was received with joy by the whole family, and the grandparents-to-be could hardly contain their anxiety. During the pregnancy, Julia and Carlos decided that they wanted to raise their child with the same values that brought them together. They agreed to live more simply, moving into a comfortable but unostentatious house. Carlos reduced his workload at the company to be more present with his family, delegating more responsibilities to his trusted executives. The birth of little Miguel brought a new dynamic to the family. Donna Maria practically moved in with the couple for the first few months, insisting on helping out with the baby. Mr. Antonio discovered a new vocation as an owl grandfather, always inventing wooden toys for his grandson. Pedro, who had previously been the most critical, became the most nurturing uncle. He and Carlos developed a close friendship, often going out fishing or to watch soccer matches together. The initial mistrust had turned into a bond of brotherhood. As Miguel grew up, Carlos and Julia worked hard to keep him connected to his roots and aware of the privileges he had. They encouraged him to take part in volunteer work from an early age and made sure he understood the value of work and empathy. When Miguel turned 5, Carlos had an idea that at first frightened Julia. He wanted his son to spend a month living with his grandparents in the simple house where Julia grew up. After much discussion, Julia agreed, understanding the importance of that experience for the formation of her son's character. That month was transformative for Miguel. He learned from his grandfather how to fix things, helped his grandmother in the vegetable garden, and experienced a very different routine from what he was used to. When he returned home, the boy was full of stories and had a new outlook on life. This experience became an annual tradition. Every year, Miguel would spend a month with his grandparents, away from luxury and technology, learning values that no expensive school could teach. Over time, his cousins joined him on these vacations at his grandparents' house, creating precious memories and strengthening family ties. As the years went by, Carlos and Julia's story continued to inspire people. They were often invited to give talks about love, family, and social responsibility. Their foundation grew, positively impacting the lives of thousands of young people across the country. When Miguel turned 15, Carlos and Julia decided it was time to tell him the whole story of how they met and fell in love, including the time Carlos disguised himself as a McDonald's employee. The teenager was fascinated by the narrative and gained a new respect for his parents and the journey they had been on. Inspired by his parents' story, Miguel asked to work part-time in a fast food restaurant during the school vacations. Carlos and Julia, although concerned, understood their son's desire to have this experience and agreed, on the condition that he kept his grades and extracurricular activities up to date. This experience was fundamental for Miguel. Just like his father years before, he learned valuable lessons about teamwork, customer service, and the reality of many workers. More than ever, he valued his parents' teachings on humility and empathy. Meanwhile, Carlos's company continued to thrive, but with a different philosophy. Inspired by his experience at McDonald's and the values of his adoptive family, Carlos had implemented progressive employee benefits policies, continuing education programs, and a strong commitment to corporate social responsibility. The company was often cited as an example of how success in business could go hand in hand with the well-being of employees and the community. Julia, for her part, had become a nationally recognized educator. Her experience as a public school teacher, combined with the resources she now had at her disposal, allowed her to develop innovative education programs that were being adopted in schools across the country. She never lost her passion for teaching and continued to teach regularly, believing that direct contact with students was essential to understanding the real needs of education. Julia's family had also undergone changes over the years. With the discreet help of Carlos and Julia, everyone had managed to improve their living conditions, but they had kept their essence and values. Mr. Antonio, although retired, still enjoyed working on small construction projects, now more for pleasure than necessity. Donna Maria remained the heart of the family, always bringing everyone together for lunches and celebrations. Pedro, who at first had been the most critical of Carlos, was now his great friend and partner in various social projects. He had become an active defender of workers' rights, often collaborating with Carlos and Julia's foundation on initiatives aimed at professional training. Anna, Julia's sister, had followed in her sister's footsteps and become a teacher. With Carlos and Julia's support, she opened a community school on the outskirts of town, offering quality education to children from low-income families. When Miguel turned 18 and was about to go to college, Carlos and Julia had a serious talk with him. They offered him the choice of taking on a role in the family business or following his own path, whatever that might be. To their surprise, Miguel expressed his desire to first work for a few years in different sectors, including NGOs and startups, before deciding on his future in the company. Carlos and Julia were moved by their son's maturity and social awareness. They fully supported his decision, proud to see how the values they had cultivated were blossoming in the next generation. As Miguel embarked on his own journey, Carlos and Julia reflected on the road they had traveled. What had begun as an unusual plan by a billionaire disguising himself as a McDonald's employee had turned into a story of love, family, and personal transformation that impacted not only their lives, but those of countless others. They had learned that true wealth lay not in bank accounts or titles, but in the bonds we create, the lives we touch, and the love we share. The family they had built, not just among themselves but including Julia's parents and siblings, was their greatest treasure. One quiet evening, as they watched the sun set from the balcony of their house, Carlos held Julia's hand and said softly, "You know, every day I'm grateful that I had the courage to disguise myself and work at McDonald's. It was the best decision I ever made. It was the best decision I've ever made in my life." Julia smiled, leaning against her husband's shoulder. "And I thank you for having the patience to put up with your madness. But you're right, it was the best thing that could have happened to us." Just then, the phone rang. It was Miguel, calling from the small NGO where he was doing voluntary work in a poor community. He was excited, telling them about a project he had developed to teach technology skills to young people in the area. As they listened to their son's enthusiasm, Carlos and Julia exchanged a look of pride and love. They knew that whatever path Miguel chose, he would carry with him the values of empathy, hard work, and social responsibility that they had cultivated over the years. Carlos and Julia's story was a powerful reminder that true love can overcome any obstacle, that appearances can be deceiving, and that the most valuable lessons often come from the most unexpected places. Their legacy was not just the material wealth they had accumulated, but the positive impact they had made on the world and the values they had passed on to the next generation. And so, as the sun set over the horizon, Carlos and Julia hugged each other, grateful for every moment of their unlikely journey. They knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, with the love and support of their family as their greatest strength. In the years that followed, Carlos and Julia's story continued to unfold in surprising and inspiring ways. Miguel, after his years of experience in different sectors, decided to return to the family business, but with a unique vision shaped by his experiences. He proposed a bold restructuring of the company, turning it into a social business conglomerate. The idea was to use the company's technology and resources to create innovative solutions to social and environmental problems while maintaining a sustainable business model. Carlos, impressed by his son's vision, decided to hand over control of the company to Miguel, taking on the role of mentor and advisor. Julia, meanwhile, expanded her work into education, creating a teacher training institute that revolutionized the way educators were prepared in the country. The transition was not without its challenges. There was resistance from some more conservative shareholders and executives who feared that the new focus on social impact could affect profits. However, Miguel proved to be a capable leader, skillfully balancing the needs of the business with its social mission. One of the first projects under Miguel's leadership was the development of a free online education platform, which offered high-quality courses to people in remote or low-income areas. The project, which combined the company's technological expertise with Julia's educational experience, quickly became a success, reaching millions of students across the country. Another innovative project was the creation of a blockchain-based microcredit network, which allowed small entrepreneurs in underprivileged communities to access fair and transparent financing. This initiative not only generated financial returns for the company, but also boosted economic development in neglected areas. Meanwhile, Carlos and Julia, now in their 60s, decided it was time to fulfill a long-held dream: to travel the world, not as tourists, but as volunteers in social projects. They spent the next few years traveling from country to country, sharing their experiences and knowledge, and learning about different cultures and communities. During these trips, Carlos and Julia made a surprising discovery. In a small village in India, they met a young social entrepreneur called Priya, whose story was incredibly similar to their own. Priya, who came from a wealthy family, had disguised herself as an ordinary worker in order to better understand the needs of her community. Inspired by this coincidence, Carlos and Julia decided to create a global network of entrepreneurs in disguise, people willing to step out of their comfort zone to really understand and address social problems in an authentic way. This network quickly expanded, connecting business leaders, activists, and social innovators from all over the world. Back in Brazil, the company under Miguel's leadership continued to thrive and innovate. One of its most ambitious projects was the development of affordable clean energy technologies for low-income communities. This project not only reduced the carbon footprint of these communities, but also created jobs and stimulated the local economy. The foundation created by Carlos and Julia years earlier had become a powerhouse in the social sector, now led by Anna, Julia's sister. The foundation focused on education, health, and community development programs, working closely with Miguel's company to implement innovative technological solutions. Pedro, Julia's brother, who had initially been skeptical of Carlos, was now a respected politician, defending progressive social welfare policies and labor rights. He often cited his family's story as an example of how empathy and understanding can overcome prejudice and create positive change. When Carlos and Julia celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary, the family decided to celebrate in a unique way. They organized a large charity event at the same McDonald's where it all began. The restaurant was transformed for the occasion, with Carlos's former colleagues being guests of honor. During the event, Carlos and Julia announced the creation of a scholarship fund for fast food employees and their children, offering opportunities for higher education and professional training. This initiative was received with great excitement, especially by those who had worked with Carlos during his time undercover. Miguel, now a respected business leader in his own right, gave a moving speech about his parents' legacy. He spoke about how his father's courage in going undercover and his mother's strength in supporting this crazy decision had shaped not only his family, but a whole generation of business and social leaders. "My parents taught me that true leadership starts with empathy and understanding," said Miguel. "They showed me that it is possible to be successful in business and still maintain integrity and a commitment to social good." This lesson is something I carry with me every day and hope to pass on to my own children. The McDonald's event went viral, with Carlos and Julia's story once again capturing the public's imagination. This time, however, it wasn't just the story of a billionaire in disguise, but a testament to the power of love, family, and commitment to positive social change. In the years that followed, Carlos and Julia continued to be an inspiring force, not just for their family, but for everyone around them. They were often invited to give talks at universities and conferences, sharing their unique story and the lessons they had learned along the way. One of these talks led to an unexpected development. A student in the audience, inspired by Carlos's story, decided to do something similar. He was the heir to a large fortune, but decided to spend a year working in low-paid jobs to better understand the struggles of ordinary workers. His experience, which he documented in an anonymous blog, spawned a movement of heirs in disguise that quickly spread around the world. This movement brought about a new wave of social awareness among privileged young people, many of whom were inspired to use their wealth and influence in more responsible and impactful ways. Carlos and Julia were invited to mentor this movement, guiding the new generation on how to balance privilege with social responsibility. Meanwhile, Miguel's company continued to innovate. One of his most ambitious projects was the development of a smart, sustainable city, built entirely with green technologies and designed to be accessible to people from all walks of life. This project has become a model for sustainable urban development around the world. The Family Foundation also expanded its scope, launching international exchange programs that allowed young people from different countries and social backgrounds to live and work together on social impact projects. These programs helped create a global network of young leaders committed to positive change. As Carlos and Julia grew older, they began to think about their legacy. They decided that most of their fortune would be donated to philanthropic causes after their deaths, leaving just enough to ensure that their descendants had a comfortable but not overly luxurious life. "We want our grandchildren and great-grandchildren to understand the value of hard work and empathy," explained Julia in an interview. "We don't want them to be defined by wealth, but by the values they live by and the positive impact they have on the world." This decision was widely praised and inspired other billionaires to follow suit, leading to a significant increase in philanthropic donations around the world. When Carlos turned 80, the family organized a special celebration. Instead of a lavish party, they organized a day of community service in various cities across the country. Thousands of people joined them, working on projects ranging from revitalizing schools to cleaning up parks and beaches. During this event, Carlos gave an emotional speech. "When I disguised myself as a McDonald's employee so many years ago, I was looking for something I didn't know I already had. A family. What I found was much more than that. I found a new perspective on life, a new purpose and a deeper understanding of what really matters. Today, looking at all of you, at the impact we've managed to create together, I feel immense gratitude. This journey has taught us that true wealth is not in money, but in the connections we make and the lives we touch." Carlos's words deeply touched everyone present, reinforcing the lasting impact that his impulsive decision years ago had had on so many lives. As time passed, Carlos and Julia's story became something of a modern legend, inspiring books, films, and even a Broadway musical. But for the family, the real legacy lay in the lives that had been transformed and the values that had been passed down from generation to generation. Miguel, now a father of 3, was determined to pass on the lessons he had learned from his parents. He implemented a program in the company where all employees, regardless of their position, spent 1 month a year working in frontline roles. This not only improved understanding and empathy within the organization, but also led to significant innovations based on employees' direct experiences. Carlos and Julia's eldest granddaughter, Sophia, followed in her grandmother's footsteps and became an educator. She developed an innovative school curriculum that incorporated practical work and community service experiences, helping students to develop empathy and social awareness from an early age. Her youngest grandson, Lucas, inspired by his grandfather's story, decided to do something radical. He gave up his inheritance and went to live in a poor community for a year, documenting his experience in a popular podcast. His journey opened the eyes of many to the realities of inequality and inspired a new wave of activism among young people. Meanwhile, the global network of entrepreneurs in disguise that Carlos and Julia had started continued to grow and evolve. It became a powerful movement, with members on every continent working to create positive change in their communities. The movement has spawned countless social innovations and helped shape public policy in several countries. As Carlos and Julia entered their 90s, they spent more time reflecting on their journey and mentoring the next generation of social leaders. They wrote a book together, Disguises of Love, which became an international bestseller, inspiring millions with its story of love, courage, and social transformation. On their 60th wedding anniversary, Carlos and Julia decided to renew their vows. The ceremony was held in the backyard of the simple house where they had first met, with Seu Antonio, now over 100 years old, and Donna Maria watching proudly. The whole family was present, including their children, grandchildren, and even some great-grandchildren. During the ceremony, Julia looked Carlos in the eye and said, "When you appeared in my life, disguised as a McDonald's employee, I could never have imagined the incredible adventure we would have together. Not only did you change my life, but you touched the lives of so many people around us. Our love proved that appearances really are deceiving, and that a person's true worth lies in their character and actions." Carlos, with tears in his eyes, replied, "Julia, you taught me the true meaning of wealth. With you, I've learned that love, family, and service to others are the greatest treasures we can have. Thank you for accepting me, not for what I had, but for what I was. You made me a better man, a better father, and a better person." The renewal of vows was broadcast live to millions of people around the world, many of whom had been inspired by the couple's story over the years. Social media was flooded with messages of gratitude and stories of how Carlos and Julia had impacted lives. In the years that followed, Carlos and Julia continued to be a source of inspiration and wisdom for everyone around them. They spent most of their time with their family, enjoying the company of their grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and occasionally attending special events related to the causes they supported. When Carlos passed away peacefully at the age of 98, followed by Julia a few months later, the whole world paid tribute. World leaders, celebrities, and ordinary people shared how the couple had touched their lives. Thousands attended the funeral, which was more a celebration of life than an occasion for mourning. Carlos and Julia's legacy lived on through their actions and the lives they had impacted. The company they had built continued to be a leader in social innovation and sustainability. The foundation they had created expanded its reach, becoming one of the largest philanthropic organizations in the world, and the movement of entrepreneurs in disguise they had inspired continued to grow, with thousands of people around the world following in their footsteps. But perhaps the greatest testimony to their impact was seen in the lives of their descendants and the countless people who had been touched by their story. Each of them carried a bit of Carlos and Julia's spirit, the courage to defy appearances, the determination to make a difference, and the unwavering belief in the power of love and empathy to transform the world. Years after their departure, Carlos and Julia's story continued to be told and retold, inspiring new generations to look beyond appearances, to value honest work and to use their resources, whatever they may be, to make the world a better place. His legacy was living proof that a single courageous action, born of love and curiosity, can unleash a wave of positive change that extends far beyond our individual lives. And so, the story of the billionaire who disguised himself as a McDonald's employee wasn't just about a rich man experiencing the life of the common worker. It was a story of love, of family, of breaking down social barriers, and of personal and social transformation. It was a reminder that, in the end, it's not our titles or bank accounts that define who we are, but our actions, our relationships, and the impact we leave on the world. Carlos and Julia's legacy has continued to inspire future generations to question their own assumptions, to seek understanding beyond their social bubbles, and to use their privileges for the greater good. Their story has become a symbol of hope and a call to action, reminding everyone that a person's true worth lies not in what they have, but in what they are willing to give. And so, in a world often divided by differences of class and status, Carlos and Julia's story has remained a beacon of hope, a reminder that love, empathy, and the courage to see beyond appearances have the power to transcend barriers and transform lives. Her legacy has continued to inspire people to see beyond appearances, to value human connections over material wealth, and to use their resources, whatever they may be, to make a positive difference in the world. The final lesson of her story was clear. Sometimes you have to disguise yourself to really reveal yourself, and in the process, we can not only find true love, but also discover our true calling and the power we have to change the world around us.